you are already lying on your back, so what better way to start than lie on your back? So as you are beginning your own scan, well, if you are skilled enough at this, bring attention to weight, the pelvis, maybe your heels if legs are long, shoulder blades, back of your head. And maybe there's a bias. Maybe if you had this image of, and the image has to be for you that you really like I think of lying in a beautiful, clear beach of soft sand. But it could be on a grassy knoll. If you were levitated above the surface, the sand, the mat, the grass, would one buttocks show a deeper impression into the floor than the other? Or is it absolutely equal? One shoulder blade. They're both resting on the floor, hopefully resting. And just like your sacral bone in your pelvis, they're a funny triangular bone that it's not one-dimensional, it's three-dimensional, with curves and little pockets and gullies. It arcs. So notice where in your shoulder blades, and comparing the right to the left, the contact. It's probably a little different. And so you don't have to specifically know, but just through a sensation, your awareness is percolating and awakening to, well, something is different. Maybe one shoulder feels a little bit more leaning into the floor, and the other one might be a little bit more feeling rolled away from the floor. So the distinction would be, where is more of the weight on this shoulder blade? Is it closer to the shoulder if it's a little bit more leaned back into the floor? Or is it a little bit more into the body, the center of the shoulder blade, for a shoulder that might feel a little bit more rolled away from the floor? And whether your choice is to have legs long or feet standing, these are choices you create through sensations of listening to yourself and always looking for something that feels, it's just in this moment, I want to transition. I want to rest a little differently. Now, very slowly, listening to your breathing, the softening of your eyes, your mouth. Maybe throughout the lesson, you'll think, whether your lips are touching or not, that there'll be space between your teeth. It's a gentle reminder. And now with your right hand, place your right hand behind the fullest, widest portion of your skull. The right elbow will be bent and out to the side. Just feel how you do this. And just make sure that if you were to gently move or rub your right hand a little to the left or the right, your right hand is situated above your ears. We often, because it's familiar or comfortable, place our hand very close to the base of the skull, the neck. But see if you could have the hand so that the forearm is really in the horizontal plane from right to left, straight, not arced down for the hand a little bit. And did you notice as you placed your hand behind your head, did something change in the direction of your chin, nose, or eyes? If you're not sure, remove your right hand. And then rest with your skull back on the mat. Discern where you're resting, where your eyes are, softening the eyes, softening your jaw. And then reinsert your right hand in that place where I'm saying, find that portion of your skull. It's the widest, it's the biggest part, and it's above your ears. And notice if that changed something in the trajectory of your head or your face. And now very slowly, as you exhale, lift your right elbow towards the ceiling while your hand still remains behind your skull. And then you inhale and you lower your right elbow. Don't press it to the floor. If it rests comfortably on the floor, wonderful. But if it doesn't, let it just rest hovering a little bit above the floor. And again, as you go on an exhalation to elevate your right elbow towards the ceiling, what happened in your eyes or your face or your head? Did it just stay where it was, or did it subtly roll a little bit? Did it roll to the right? Did it roll up? Did it roll to the left? Did it roll a little down? And then you open the elbow again. I'm asking you to do it very slow, but I love to think of this as a bird's wing. And you're just learning how to lift. How do you, when you lift your right elbow towards the ceiling, it's as if the right upper arm nestles near your face. It doesn't have to touch, but it comes very close to your face. And feel what happened in your shoulder blade and your chest and your head and your eyes. Was there a movement, reflexive, responsive, because you lifted your elbow? And did your wrist also bend? And your shoulder joint bend? Did that upper portion of your right chest, something in your collarbone, soften, do something? Good. Now, after you've done it 3 or 4 times, this gentle way of listening, remove your right hand, lengthen it where you're comfortable, and just rest for a moment. And just this little bit, is there some subtle difference in how the right side of you is resting compared to the left? And something in your head. So now let's make a comparison. Do the same thing with your left hand. Look for that place and how you organize to bring your left hand behind your head. And then when you're ready, you already noticed what happened to my head. What happened in these teleceptors, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth? Was there a subtle movement? And then you begin to listen as you direct the left elbow towards the ceiling. Some people have shoulder issues. So you go gentle. Don't push if there's any resistance. It'll just irritate more. Honor. You actually exhale as you lift the left elbow towards the ceiling. What happened? Did your eyes, your head, something move? And then you inhale, you put the elbow back down. You find the pacing for you. What happened in your left collarbone, shoulder blade, chest, even your sternum? And do that 3, 4 times. The left wrist bends. Your shoulder joint bends. What happened? What happened in the shoulder blade, the left shoulder blade? The back of you, the front of you? Yeah. And if you want to do it a little faster once it's familiar, you can. Like the little fluttering of a bird's wing, learning how to fly. Does that indicate, oh, a subtle little movement in your eyes, your head? It moves. And then take your left hand out and again rest. And now discern just that little movement. Do I feel something different in how I rest along the left side? Now this time, go ahead and bring in fact, put your hands in front of you so that you can see them and interlace your fingers. And now look, often the thumbs don't interlace. They're not as long as the other fingers. Sometimes they do, but look at the index finger that is leading. Is it the right or the left? And I'm going to gather this is your habitual way. You just did it. Now, keep the same pattern, but change over the fingers so the other index finger is leading. It's the interlocking of your fingers, the interlacing. And just feel what that's like. It is different how we organize it's not just our fingers, it's all the way through us, all the way through your chest. And then do the familiar, the habitual, into the non-habitual. And this is a skill. And you just do one and you do the other. Just to get familiar, this is a skill I've learned, most of you. And then take your hands interlaced the familiar way, the habitual way for you, and place them behind your head, that same place that the hands rest above the ears. That's going to indicate that upper portion of the skull that is wider and often for most fuller, but not everybody. Now alternate. Once, as you exhale, lift the right elbow towards the ceiling, bringing it towards your face, just the right. And as you go to inhale, open the right elbow towards the floor. When the right elbow has reached the floor, you've completed the inhalation. On the exhalation, bring the left elbow forward towards the ceiling. And alternate like this, listening. And notice, does this begin to indicate a little bit of, I'd say, the pattern of rolling? Rolling through your shoulder blades, your chest. I witness it, but for those that I know are going to get the recording, I'm not going to see, are you holding your eyes, your head, your mouth static? Maybe you start to notice that your head rolls a little bit with whichever elbow you are lifting. Does your head roll a little bit to the other side? And is it just to the other side? Or is it slightly a little bit down? Isn't that what the hands behind your head actually do? They indicate that the face tilts, the chin, the nose tilts a little down. So you lift the right elbow towards the ceiling on an exhalation, and you roll your head just responsively to it, a little to the left. You inhale as the right elbow goes back to the floor. When you're ready to exhale, you do the left. And you alternate them. And feel how far through you do you feel this rolling? Good. Lovely. Now unlace your fingers. Rest for a moment. And now interlace your fingers the non-habitual way. And let's explore that. It's the same movement, but what is the difference of the non-habitual? It's how we organize through our chest, collarbones, shoulder blades, sternum, ribs, everything is affected. And alternate. Once you do this elbow towards the ceiling, yielding. It's not like, oh, I'm supposed to roll my head. No, it yields, it allows, it welcomes. And then you do the other. And make it pleasurable. Pleasurable sensation. Maybe for some, one elbow lifts a little higher or a little closer to your face, the other one not as much. We sustain some injuries. So just honor if there's a sense of resistance. Can you feel there's a difference from when you did your hands habitually? Now, while your hands behind your head, elbows out to the side, a little rest, change over back to the habitual way. And now, bring both elbows as you exhale towards the ceiling, and then open the elbows away towards the floor. That's it. And imagine each time you bring the elbows towards each other on an exhalation, when you're ready to inhale, open the elbows and think of it like a yawn, only you're inhaling. But you could change the pattern of how you're breathing. You could choose to inhale as you bring the elbows towards the ceiling and exhale as you open them. I'm encouraging you to explore comparisons versus one way is correct and the other way is not. Because in Feldenkrais, we say, it depends. It depends on the circumstances. And feel what happens to your shoulder blades, your chest, your sternum, your head, your eyes, your nose. And then rest. Let the arms come beside you, unless you want to keep them behind your head. But right now, we're going to let this whole shoulder girdle area have a pause. Please bring your right foot to stand. Keep the left leg long. And keep the right knee, the right foot in the vertical. This would be, in a sense, as if when the right elbow was towards the ceiling. And gently, as you exhale, depress into the right foot. Does it roll your pelvis to the left? You inhale and you let the pelvis roll back to neutral. Many of you have heard me say, use that right foot, that right knee as an anchor, so it shows you where you return to. But feel, as you exhale and depress into the right foot, there's an equal and opposite force that comes up through the leg, and like a fulcrum, that thigh bone, femur bone, the ball of the femur in the socket lifts the pelvis and rolls you to the left. And when you do that, if you gently soften your belly so as not to contract it in or to try to push it out, but just let it be soft, feel what happens. And how much of you starts to rotate and turn to the left. Maybe the left leg starts to roll out. How far up through you do you feel this spiraling from the bottom up? That's it. Good. Now slowly put your right hand behind your skull. As you inhale, draw the right elbow, or you can exhale. I mean, I want you to figure out for you what feels more congruent, because you can do both. But draw the right elbow towards the ceiling. So you have your right knee towards the ceiling, right elbow towards the ceiling. And then as you press into your right foot, feel where your head, your elbow, you go. Then when you inhale, open the right elbow, return your pelvis to the floor. And when you're ready to exhale again, lift the right elbow as you press into your right foot and create a little bit of rolling to the left. And see if you can create the timing of the lifting of the right elbow with the depressing into the right foot. that it would be more a simultaneous movement versus sequential. That's it. Beautiful. And just play with it. Notice where you have your left arm. Sometimes we don't encourage that you have to go as far as you can, but some of you are finding you could almost roll onto your left side, but don't, because you heard that, try to achieve it. Some might notice that the left knee starts to soften as the left leg starts to roll out. And if you notice my left arm's in the way, well, move it when it feels appropriate, so you're not going to roll over it if you are noticing the ease of rolling towards the side. But if not, stop where you feel weight or resistance. Lovely. And then come back and rest. Lengthen your right leg, remove your right hand, just take a rest. Notice contact. Breathing. In a sense, we're folding certain joints. And then we start to roll, and one of the joints through our hip is extending, opening. And notice when you come back to rest from this folding and turning, rotating a little bit, and some extension, do you feel fuller? The depth of you, or the width of you, or the length of you? Is there a subtle improvement that feels, oh gosh, this is nice? So let your arms rest. Bring your left foot to stand, right leg is long. And very slowly, just compare this as you exhale, depressing into the left foot, keeping the left foot through the knee, more or less in the vertical, so that your pelvis pivots around the ball of the femur. And if your pelvis pivots, your spine rotates. Feel what's happening to the left side of you compared to the right. And how we organize on our sides can be very different. So even though you have an idea, I know where maybe this could go, follow ease versus trying to make this happen. And if it feels enjoyable, that your head by itself freely, following the spiral through your spine, starts to roll, notice to which direction. Is it rolling to the right? Is it staying affixed in the middle? Does it want to roll to the left? I mean, these are all possibilities. So why limit yourself? Just compare possibilities. Good. Now slowly keep the left foot standing and place the left hand behind your skull. At the same time you exhale, you're ready to press into the left foot, draw the left elbow towards the ceiling and explore this way. Now, is there a more congruent way to welcome your head to move? Because you have the left hand, the left arm blocking you from going to the left. But make sure that the elbow comes, that's it, towards the ceiling. Just slow it down. That's it. And feel what starts to happen all along the left side of you. As possibly, even though the left knee is staying in the vertical, but the pelvis is pivoting around the femur bone. And your torso is rotating to the right. Does the the left elbow, does that come a little bit more forward towards the ceiling or closer to your face? For some, the upper arm might even touch the cheek and encourage the face to roll if the face is going, I'm not moving. Where do your eyes go? And you soften the belly. But if you want to make it harder, how would you make it harder? Suck your belly in. And don't do it too aggressively, because I've had people that couldn't stop doing this habitual pattern and they spasmed, they cramped, they Charlie horsed. Feel that you can impede what you're doing by contracting unnecessarily. Good. And then come back to your back and rest. Notice your contact. What's changing? Your breathing. Your internal sensations, as well as the sensations of you in your room, on your mat. And let your arms rest. Bring both feet to stand. Now, somebody's already got the idea. So very slowly as you exhale, depress into the right foot in such a way that your left leg would yield and rest on the floor to the left. The knee stays bent. And then you inhale, roll through your pelvis. Don't force the knee to the floor. Just feel, if you really keep that right foot gently depressing and think more or less the right knee towards the ceiling, feel how freeing in your belly, allowing your back to be potent, more than likely the knee will go close to the floor, if not rest on the floor. Then roll through the pelvis as you inhale to bring the left knee back into the vertical. Now both feet are standing in the vertical. You're in your neutral. Wait for your next exhalation. Press into the left foot and let the right knee yield to the floor to the right of you. You just do it several times, alternating, and be satisfied with your exploration. But I notice for many of you, your head is rolling without the aid of your arms. Wonderful. I'm going to ask a differentiation. Keep alternating this luxurious movement. One foot depresses, it stays the active leg, it's an anchor, while the other side yields to the floor. Notice to which side your head is rolling, and take your eyes in the opposite direction. Not the head, only the eyes. Whatever direction your head is rolling, the eyes go in the opposite direction, then everything comes back to the neutral. And I suggest you go slow. This is confounding. And you might notice that your head will not roll as freely, as far, when you take your eyes in the opposite direction. And you do this differentiation of your eyes from your skull that is freely rolling because of this rotation through your spine. And after you've done that several times, go back to allowing your eyes to roll in the same direction, move in the same direction. Your head is responsively, maybe sequentially, following the movements of your pelvis. Did that differentiation facilitate something for you? And then come back to neutral, lengthen your legs, and rest. See, there are things in this lesson that most of you already know. You've played with them, maybe not in this formula, but you've played with them. So when these movements are familiar, we ask you to pay attention to other subtleties instead of going on automatic pilot. So now interlace your hands the non-habitual way. Put them behind your head and bring both feet to stand. And now once, as you depress into the right foot, it's the right elbow that lifts simultaneously, and you roll a little bit or as much as you want. Maybe the left knee lays out onto the floor, and you come back, and then you, still with the hands interlaced the non-habitual way, you depress into the left foot, and the left elbow lifts as you depress into the left foot, and you roll over towards meeting your right elbow on the floor. One elbow is lifting as the foot depresses, the same side, creating a rolling to the other side. You inhale, come back to neutral, and then you explore the other side. The depressing into the foot, the lifting of the elbow, that's simultaneously with the exhalation. You roll. Then when you are inhaling, coming back to neutral, and you come to neutral, the elbow that was lifted, you lay out on the floor. That's it. That's it. Lovely. And then the next time you come back onto your back, you pause for a moment. And now you change over the interlacing of your hands to your more familiar or habitual way. And then you just rest. And then you begin again. One elbow lifts as that same side foot depresses. That starts to lead you to roll to the other side. As you're ready to inhale, you're rolling back towards your back. One elbow is staying on the floor. The other one is going towards the ceiling to then open to the other side. Elbows are open. And you're ready to depress into the other foot. If it's the left foot, then it's the left elbow that comes up at the same time. You depress into the left foot and you roll to the right. It's only when you get towards your right side that your head is nestled between both of your elbows. And then you come back, the right elbow stays on the floor, the left elbow goes to the ceiling, and then it opens to neutral. And then the right elbow, the right foot depresses, and you roll to the left. So at this point, one elbow is always staying towards the floor. And then the other one is helping fold you over so you're nestled. And because you're keeping that depressing foot more or less in the vertical, you haven't collapsed or fallen onto the side fully. There is a little bit of a twist and extension in your lower spine. That's it. Good. Now just come back, totally rest. Could you discern a difference when your hands were interlaced, or the habitual way or the non-habitual way? Was there something that you could discern maybe in the beginning? Maybe it's neutralizing. We have different experiences. That's why I love sometimes after lessons when we still do chat a little bit and we could chat live to share what we noticed. I can tell you, I noticed surprisingly in many lessons when I went with my non-habitual way of interlacing my fingers, something else got easier. It surprised me. All right, now interlace your hands. You choose. Just remember if you're going to do habitual or non-habitual, because we're going to reverse it. But start with the way you're starting. And now draw both of your elbows towards the ceiling. And you keep them there. And then your feet are standing. So once the elbows are towards the ceiling, they're staying there. They're surrounding and protecting your head. And now slowly, it's not going to be the same. It's different because both elbows are towards the ceiling. Depress once into the right foot as you exhale. Allow the left knee to lay out on the floor. The only thing that's staying more or less in the vertical is the right knee, the right foot. And then you inhale, you come back. The elbows are still together, surrounding your face. Then you depress as you exhale into the left foot. And the whole time, your elbows stay toward surrounding your face. When they're rolling towards the right or towards the left. But in neutral, you're standing on your shoulder blades. The elbows are towards the ceiling. And feel from the bottom up, with your head nestled safely, you roll. That's it. Take your time. That's it. Someone just noticed, oh my goodness, I was holding my knee. I was holding muscularly in the leg. Let it lay out on the floor as your torso, your elbows, and your head roll to the side. And then you come back as you inhale, and then you reverse, and you exhale, and you roll to the other side. Some of you are fully getting on your side. The reason why these elbows now are together is they're nestling your head. You get to the side, if you get there, your head can rest on that bottom arm. It doesn't have to be held up. And you always know where to come back to, because that standing foot that was pushing, it's saying, here, you come here. This is where the anchor is. If you collapse the knee too much, just become aware. And then take a rest. To luxuriate in these rests. I play with the lessons. I'm by the fire. And guess what happens to me? I wind up rolling to a side. Oh, it's so comfortable. And the next thing I know, I've slept through a movie or that last series or docuseries we were watching. I let it rest and relax me and soothe me. Especially when we have, there's a lot going on. Holiday times are difficult for people, shifts of weather, news. How do we keep finding our own neutral? Resetting and balancing ourselves so we can go forward with whatever comes at us, because we can't control that. But we can better learn how to nurture ourselves And now bring your feet to stand and interlace your hands the opposite way you had done. And then you draw your elbows towards the ceiling and they stay there. This is the new neutral. And it's through the bottom to spiral up. You start to roll. If you're depressing into the right foot, you roll everything to the left except for the standing right foot, right knee, and something in your pelvis. In fact, maybe because you're standing into the right foot, the right front of your hip joint is really opening. And you inhale, slowly restore to your back. Elbows are still together, whether they're pointing to the left or the right, center, or arcing like a rainbow as you go from side to side. And notice your eyes are following, aren't they? So when you get back to the neutral, something is going to happen if I say everything stays the same, but take your eyes in the opposite direction of the movement, whether it's to the right or the left. And in the neutral, on your back, elbows towards the ceiling, feet standing, your eyes are towards the ceiling. But when you depress into the right foot and the elbows and your head are going to the left, your eyes are wanting going to the right. Then your eyes come back to the neutral. Everything comes back to the neutral. Exhale to press into the left foot, rolling to the right. But as everything is going to the right, your eyes go to the left. It might make the movement of getting to the side not as simple, so go slow. You don't have to get to the side. Just play with it. And then as you continue this movement, choose, no, now I'm not going to differentiate my eyes from my head, and allow your eyes to go with the head, your elbows, your chest, your belly, the other leg. Everything's going to that side, right or left. And feel what the differentiation did. Did it facilitate something of an improvement? That's it. And then the next time you come to your back, let everything go and just rest. Now, let's go back to the variation where one leg is long and the other foot is standing. So stand your right foot, have the left leg long. Interlace your fingers whichever way you would like to. And as you depress into the right foot, draw your right elbow towards the ceiling. The left is still out to the left leg is long. But as you start to roll to the left leg is already on the floor, but it's rolling to the left. Bend the left knee. Let it slide up. So that as you now are coming to return to your back, the right elbow is going to go back towards the ceiling. The left elbow is going to lift. The left foot is going to depress, and you're going to roll to the right. The right leg will have gone long so that you can slide the right leg up. So one leg goes long when you come to the neutral. As you get to the side, that leg slides up. Then that leg that slid up on the floor, you roll back onto your back. The leg that was working before elongates. The other leg is now standing. And you begin alternating it this way. It's only when you're on your back that one leg goes long, the other foot is standing. And then you change over the legs. What is the timing of your coordination? That's it. Yeah. So there's some sliding and gliding, and you're listening to the timing of your coordination. Beautiful. That's it. As one leg is coming to stand, the other one is going long. And sooner or later you realize, well, I have both elbows surrounding my head. There you go. And then change over the interlacing of your hands. You can totally take a rest. You can do it in midstream. I only share this because of what I witnessed. And only if this feels playful, safe, and enjoyable. And yes, some of you have noticed you're traveling on your mat. So you might have to scooch down. Did you travel up or did you travel down on your mat? I'm noticing people traveling up, not down. When this gets playful, you're enjoying it, whether you want both feet standing or one leg sliding up as the other one is sliding down, and it feels safe and comfortable, start to go a little faster. Playful. But remember, one foot has to push. So there's a foot that needs to always stay standing so it pushes and sends you over to the other side. All right, I see some confusion happening now. But it's okay because you're enjoying it, right? So there's always one foot standing towards the ceiling. That's the foot that's been pushing. Okay. Well, we're losing some of that pattern. It's okay. It just means you sort of got playful and and then it's just the sliding of the legs. So let's just once more clarify. Lie on your back and just rest. See, the pattern starts to get all confused. We're having fun. It's moving. I'm rolling, but it's no longer the foot that's pushing, that's sending you to roll. So have one foot press. Don't slide the leg down long. No, no, that's too soon. No, that's it. That's it. That foot. So I'm seeing someone, they're pushing into the right foot and they're rolling to the left. The left knee will slide out to the floor. Your elbows and your head will go to the left, but the right foot is still standing on the floor, pushing. The right foot is still standing on the floor, pushing. That's what sends you over to the left. Then slowly, as you inhale, roll through your pelvis. That will bring the left knee back into the vertical. Let both knees go into the vertical. Now slide the right leg down long when you're on your back. Now press into the left foot. The left elbow comes towards the ceiling. Keep that left foot standing. Don't let go of the left leg. The right knee is sliding up on the floor. Or you can keep it long if you want. Don't give up. That anchor, that's the pushing foot. That's the power that's facilitating this rolling. Both feet come to stand. Once both feet come to stand, both feet are standing on your back, then the new foot, that one that was laying out on its side that came to stand, that stays standing, the other leg goes long. That's better. Good. And then let it all go. Lie on your back and rest. And listen to your breathing. and your contact. And I'm going to suspect that most of you are laying a little flatter, that there's a difference from when you first started. Now, if I were to say, towards the end of a lesson, you're still in the lesson, and I was going to ask you to roll to a side, would you think of this lesson you've just been playing with and roll that way? Or will you go, no, I have other ways I want to do that? Whichever you like. Gather yourself up, maybe in the schema of the lesson, maybe in another idea, roll by way of one side, transition to sit. Yep. And then transition to come to stand. Take your time. From folding to opening. And sometimes there's twisting in it too. You're spiraling. And then come and stand. Let your arms just rest. Comfortable distance between your feet. Feel your uprightness. And feel your state of being. And there's your lesson for today. Another theme of rolling.